What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Scuttlebutt with Ivy's Family Factotum. Well, as you can see, sitting here in the Jeep, actually up here at Wally World, and we had already went over to another store to grab the stuff for the pig pen that we were doing. You might even be able to see stuff hanging out the back of the Jeep, and then look at this. Yeah. Hey, do what you need to do, and you might even be able to hear in the background. Gladys couldn't resist getting something else, and we will disclose what that is later. And yeah, it never fails. But this is actually something that we've already talked about. That we did want to get, but we'll get them all set in. We'll get them, put in place, and then we will let y'all know. So, but it is Friday, getting into the weekend. It looks like there's going to be more rain this weekend, and I believe I want to say it's the Memorial Day weekend, right? To where it's kind of like the official start, or not the official start, but it like marks. I always thought it was like the end of the month. Is it the end of the month already? I guess it is. So normally June 20th is the first of summer, but it's the last weekend of May, right? Is always going to be your Memorial Day weekend. And it's, even though we always say, to get out there and thank a veteran with every chance you get, not only on Veterans Day, right? Veterans Day is for all veterans, whether alive, not alive, any of those things, right? It's just all veterans. It's to thank, obviously, being able to go out and thank a veteran, they kind of have to be alive. I mean, you can go, to cemeteries and whatnot and still thank them for their service, but for Memorial Day, right? That's always when you're out there having your parties and your barbecues and doing all that stuff. Just remember that that's for all of the fallen, right? That's what it's really about. So, is giving thanks, for your freedoms that you do have. I know there are a lot of folks. You're like, man, we're not the land of the free. We don't get to do this. Don't get to do that. I get it. There's going to be, the goods with the bads, the pros with the cons. But just know that, for what you do have, a life was given for that purpose and for that reason. So just remember that and be thankful, right? Be thankful during your Memorial weekend. So, but we're definitely going to be getting back. So yesterday's video, I was like, where are they at? So we ended up getting a call. Well, it's actually an email. From the ranger, the park ranger that we're dealing with, right, for the roads and stuff. So supposedly as of right now, they're just going to be doing a temporary fix of just filling in the voids with gravel, right? It's probably going to be the SB2 road gravel, the same stuff they use on all the dirt roads around here. And every time that it rains, all these areas that they keep refilling just gets washed away, right? So it's kind of like a never-ending story to where it's just constant, right? So with that, it's just I've already talked to him about, of different possible things that they might be able to do, just kind of be done with it. And I'm going to continue working with him just to say, hey, can we just do, because they already have, like, in our area, our road, to where it's just like a concrete overlay, right? So and it's not really a bridge, right? They don't consider it a bridge. It's just a causeway that still allows the water to go over it. But, doing basically the concrete, and it has concrete goes down on the sides too. That way the water doesn't erode, the land, and it's just able to go over the concrete, right? So the high pressure concrete. So he said that, they are working on the 2026 budget with that, and that they'll consider that, because they actually have quite a few different areas that they do need to repair and fix. And so they're just going through, and he said that he can always add that in to that and just see what happens, right? Either it gets approved or it doesn't. But at the least, right, every time that arranges, we are on their schedule now, to where, because there's another bridge, right, a concrete bridge down the road, that there's a section of that on the edge, right, that it washes out all that SB2, right? So whenever it gets really flooded and that causeway can't contain all that water, a lot of that rocks and gravel and stuff that they have there gets washed away, so they always have to fill that in. Well, the same time that they would be doing that, they would also be checking ours. She didn't even say hi, didn't even see me. As Elizabeth from Black Sheep Project. And we actually saw Country Road Cure too whenever we first just parked and they walked in. So, but anyway, yeah, we're up here because we don't have a Walmart where we're at, so we always have to come all the way over here. But getting preps, right? Getting all this stuff done, because we actually found out yesterday. Gladys had talked to Dad, and so the pigs that we're getting, I thought were just 100% purebred, whatnot, of potbelly pigs, and they're not. They're actually super pigs. So, super pig, what they consider super pigs, right, are the different types of breeds that are actually mixed with wild boar. So that's what they are. So they are actually going to be a mix. And we'd already said too that we wanted to do pasture pigs, but I do not want to do so. Now that I know that, which I'm glad that he said something, because now that I know that, I do not want to do a pasture pig with a 50% boar, because they just not going to happen, right? Their mentality is a little different. The things that they do is a little different, and different other animal wildlife. There is a chance that they can disrupt the chickens, or if we have them in the same paddock as the sheep, if like when we decide to get our sheep, then that's just a no. So these pigs that we're going to be getting are going to be staying in this little pen that I'm making. So, and it's big. It's a 16 by 16. So plenty of space. For that size of pig, you can easily put 4 to 6 pigs into that 16 by 16, and that's still a lot of room for them. Okay. Now, I would still like to be able to train them to a hot wire to be able to go to different areas, but I do not necessarily want to have them just straight up free ranging, in an area constantly, right? So we'll kind of see how that goes. I am going to look at getting other pigs that we can do the pasture pigs with, and then obviously whenever we do get to the point of doing the sheep, then same thing, right? They'll be in the main paddock area. Get them also trained to a hot wires, right? Normally for sheep you need more than just one wire. Two at minimum. 3 is probably better, right? But with that, and normally it's fine. You can do a 2-strand with sheep and be fine as long as they're trained to it, right? Because the hair sheep, it's a little different for the hair sheep too, because since it's not necessarily wool, but I mean even any type of sheep, right? They normally have a thicker coat on them that they're not affected by the wire as much, unless they touch it with their face or possibly legs, right? Because the legs normally don't have as much fur on them. So that's the biggest thing, is try to get them into that area. And then obviously doing if we can get some of the other possible the fencing, right, the electrical fencing, just being able to set up a couple different areas to where we can move them around until we're able to get permanent type fencing in place. But that's probably I would think that the sheep is probably not going to happen until next year. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go because Gladys is trying to give me a call. I need to see what she wants. And but anyway, we thank y'all for following in on our journey. We're gonna get back onto this project. We're gonna get these chirping little beasts set in, and then yeah, we'll yeah. Lots of words. All right, so definitely get out there. We thank you for following in on our journey. Like I said, get out there, thank a veteran with every chance you get. Not only on Veterans Day. We'll see you on the next one. Later, y'all.